Thank you for joining me, Max. Can you please let people know what you do and how long you've been working in the education sector for?
Well, I have now been working for education for 31 years. I started off as a primary school teacher in England and I progressed to be a head teacher in England. And then I moved in 2009 up to be a head teacher in Scotland in Aberdeenshire, a very large school, after having a children's centre in Sunderland. So it's quite a change to move. In 2013, I then moved into a leadership post of a quality improvement officer, and I'm now a quality improvement manager for Aberdeenshire Council. So a few varied roles, but all within education.
So we'll jump right in with the first question, which has
Mhm.
kindly been left by Alan Calderwood, Strategic Development Director for Morrison Construction. Alan asks, how do you see education being delivered in the future, the learning environment?
Okay, good question, Alan. Thank you. And one that's being constantly debated, actually. I remember a few years ago when Dermot Lawler put on a session at the Learning Estates Conference about whether we will need schools at all in the future. And well, will we? We don't really know, but COVID certainly progressed the use of digital technology when we were having to have pupils sitting in their own homes being educated through digital forums. Will we need buildings? I think we will need buildings in the future. We'll certainly need somewhere for students to come together, for learners to gather, whether that's in the great outdoors or in a building. I think it's we're yet to see that. I'm really passionate for additional support needs and making sure that our buildings are fit for purpose for all of our users. And this, of course, is about inclusion. So whether we need buildings in the future, it's about getting those buildings right. And I was delighted to see the inquiry paper that was published in May regarding additional support learners. And this includes the necessity to have some smaller spaces throughout our buildings for those children who feel quite overwhelmed in some of the open spaces. So I think there'll always be a necessity for smaller cellular spaces within the buildings that we do offer. The other part that I would really like to see more of in our buildings is spaces to support the foundation apprenticeships programs. Aberdeenshire was actually mentioned in the OECD report for education and skills. And I think this really does support the developing the young workforce to be able to support that gap between leaving school, because it's a programme that's set up between employers and teachers.
And Alan also asks, and if you had the authority, what one change would you make and why?
I think we're already starting to progress on the change that I would make. So the changes that I would make would be to do with collaboration in a more formal way. So when we are all across Scotland, all 32 authorities are making some really good changes and creating some fabulous learning spaces. And we do have some collaboration when we work together and look at good practice. But equally, we're all sitting in silos a little bit when things are a challenge. And we're all having those same challenging conversations about how we overcome some difficulties to get the best outcomes for our young people. So I would like to see more formalised work to progress this. I've already started working with the North Schools Programme Board to be able to look at reference schools for post-occupation evaluation, and that's proved really positive and it's supportive to all of the authorities. So if we were able to do that on a bigger scale, we can all learn from each other and we can have a consistent and coherent approach to some of the difficulties that we face.
Now on to my next question. So which education projects are you most proud of and why?
Do you know, in 2013, I had the absolute privilege of coming out of my head teacher post to be able to really concentrate on what our buildings should be, what our learning spaces should look like. And I worked with a guy who's from Aberdeenshire Property Department. He's now the principal architect, Craig Matheson, and we travelled around different buildings across Aberdeenshire, across Scotland, and actually I was able to visit some in London too. And it was about creating a brief, a primary school brief document to show what the best design could look like. And since doing that, we've actually applied that to many of our primary schools across Aberdeenshire, including Uryside Primary School, Turf Primary, Hillside and Canella and some others. And that document still stands. We've done reviews of this through post-occupation evaluation, but we're really proud of the design of our primary schools, and we feel it gives the students a really good learning space for their education provision.
Over the next year or so, what do you think are the biggest challenges and also, I guess, the opportunities that the education sector faces and why, in your opinion?
I think it would be wrong of us not to acknowledge budget pressures. I think the budget pressure is there for everybody. We need to be more mindful about how we are spending money and using it to the best impact. But as well as that, we've also got falling numbers of pupil population, and we've also got an aging estate. So I think the title, the focus of this year's conference is perfect because it really is about maximising your the potential of the estate that you have and working out how we can get the best out of it with the funds that we do have.
Now, you've sort of attended, I think, all of our Learning Places Scotland events, spoken at most, and helped shape the content. So in your opinion, sort of what do you think education professionals get out of coming to Learning Places Scotland, and why should they come to the SEC in November this year?
I think over the years we've had an increasing number of people from the education sector rather than property people, and I think it's great to see them there, and I would like to see more people attend because the education is what underlines all of everything that we do at the conference. So it's really important that we have more educators there, particularly if they're going to have changes to their buildings. And it's great to hear from the young people that attend, the students. I've got so much out of hearing other presentations or the networking that happens. Because, as I said before, we all need to collaborate, we all need to share the good practice, but also share the difficulties that we all have. And there's commonality there that we can learn from. And the conference is a great place to do that.
Thank you. And we look forward to seeing yourself and your colleagues in November. Now, something I've asked all of my sort of guests on these sort of conversation with, can you please share something about yourself that the audience may not already know about you?
I've got a dog. I've always had a dog, and I've got a beautiful cockapoo, and we go on walks all the time. So as soon as I finish work, and all my weekends are being spent walking around in the countryside along the beach, and it just gives me a bit of a reset to be able to start the next week.
Thank you for sharing that. And I think since the pandemic, and also during the pandemic, actually, the outdoors is such an important part of all of our lives, and it's great to see in terms of projects coming forward and hopefully in the future playing more of an important role as well. So thank you for sharing that. And I too share a love for the great outdoors. Max, thank you very much for joining me. Very much look forward to seeing you in November. And yeah, take care.
Thank you.